Hey, my name is Devin King. I'm from DISA Public Affairs. Appreciate everybody coming out. I counted about 70 people this morning, so that's a really healthy turnout. This morning, our first session is going to be Adam Ringel and Matt Quinn from DISA J9 Hosting and Compute, and they're going to be discussing OCONUS Cloud, delivering joint force capabilities. I know you're all wondering the same thing I'm wondering, and yes, they did call each other this morning to ask what to wear. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to the guys. They'll introduce themselves. We got some slides for you today. I believe a couple other people are going to be popping up to comment on some stuff, and then we'll do some awesome Q&A. So thanks again, everybody, for attending. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Devin. All right. How's the audio on here? Is this good? Oh, there it goes. All right. Adam Ringel. I am formerly with the Hybrid Cloud Broker Office, still kind of dual-hatted. Formerly the tech advisor. We'll still be helping out with the OCONUS Cloud onboarding and user engagement and user experience. Been working on the OCONUS Cloud IPT since its inception, I believe, a few years back, partnering closely with DCIO and their efforts with the OCONUS Cloud strategy, and speak frequently, weekly on the CIO's Cloud Way Forward. And with that, Matt Quinn.
Yeah, so my name is Matthew Quinn. So I am the Joint Operational Edge Product Lead for DISA J9. So that means I'm the one responsible for getting and deploying the outposts and other OCONUS cloud solutions. Oh, I see. Is this better? All right, my name is Matthew Quinn. Right, I'm the Joint Operational Edge Lead for DISA. And so I'm deploying commercial cloud OCONUS for the department.
All right. So DISA J9 is hosting and compute. We fall under Mr. Jeff Marshall. He is the director for hosting and compute. His mantra, if you will, is the why before what. We are very much wanting to meet with mission partners, understand their requirements, their why, and then help them determine the solutions. So as you can see, we have our global portfolio with Vulcan, which is our DevSecOps platform. We have infrastructure as code that's helping to deploy environments through JWCC acquisitions to quickly stand up your cloud environment and meet those inherited controls with, they have ATOs in those baselines. And then we have several offerings across the table, but just like every other Leidos, SAIC, and all those other offerings, there's so many things out there you couldn't possibly know what you don't know. So we encourage you to connect with a hybrid cloud broker. Bring your requirement to us. Let's have a conversation and understand where we need to align your solution. And then with today, we have the DoD data centers across CONUS and OCONUS, where we have deployed Joint Operational Edge through the AWS Outpost and the commercial cloud. And then we also have Stratus, which is our private cloud IaaS solution. And General Stanton, new to DISA, just our new director, he wants us to focus on the right decision or the right data at the right place to make the right decision at the right time. That is how we are going to enable the warfighter to make the right decisions, get after the CJAD, CT concepts, and be able to deliver those capabilities that are most important to our warfighters. And that is what we are going to do through our OCONUS cloud offerings.
Yeah, so building off of that, a lot of the questions that we get are, what's the difference between Joint Operational Edge and Stratus, especially when we talk about OCONUS? And so we built this one to help kind of communicate side by side what those main differences are, right? So the Joint Operational Edge cloud is commercial cloud put into DISA data centers or other DoD facilities, OCONUS. Whereas Stratus,
Stratus is the private cloud offering, which has a full ATO that's deployed in the similar locations as the Joint Operational Edge. But where Stratus shines is not everyone is ready for commercial cloud, right? You might not be as mature on your cloud journey, but if you are virtualized today, Stratus gives you an entry point into that cloud journey to be able to be a stepping stone to that capability, get your environment to take advantage of elasticity, scalability, and utilization of billing, so that way you're not having the increased costs. It also is private cloud, so you do not have to worry about, maybe you have some worries about data sovereignty, that connection back into a commercial cloud provider, and that's where Stratus shines. So having that full ATO is providing a lot of capabilities that is naturally inherited, being within the J93's data centers that they're maintaining. They're handling that power, cooling, all that infrastructure that you need. They're also providing that for the Joint Operational Edge and the AWS Outpost. And we are also delivering the guns, gates, and guards that are pivotal to making sure you have that physical security that's important to your needs. For Stratus in particular, parity is a very crucial thing. So the same Stratus capabilities that are deployed CONUS are being deployed OCONUS, and we've been fortunate from lessons learned with the early adopters as we stood up in Hawaii to recognize some of the latency issues with like patch repositories, some of the Docker repositories and things of that nature, that we worked with our early adopter, identified those challenges, and now we're going to repeat that process as we extend into Japan and deploy into the European theater. And just this morning, Faith Perry, the deputy for Stratus, informed me that Stratus got its ATO for Japan and Europe. So we are ready to start onboarding mission partners into that capability. And with that, do you want to expand a little bit on some AWS parity?
Yeah, so talking about the right data in the right location, right? So we just talked about how Stratus is in Hawaii, Japan, Germany. Joe is also in Hawaii and Japan, and we have many more sites coming soon. It also allows us to do the same types of concerns with data sovereignty by hosting it in the US-based facility, OCONUS. And that is one of the major blockers, I would say, to cloud adoption in the OCONUS theater. By putting these solutions, OCONUS, we help to reduce that latency to the services. We give you that more consistent environment to deploy and field to, so that when you do use ideas such as DevSecOps or IAC, you can just consider these additional targets for your existing infrastructure, your existing pipelines, and continue to build that out.
So one of the other great things is our J9 professional services, right? We have cloud engineers that can look at your initial architecture, help you determine the right solution for your needs, identify areas where you can integrate with DISA offerings like Thunderdome and the DISA itself to be able to get that transport capability. We just met with a mission partner last week, and we were able to understand their requirement, come up with a game plan for them to do a sandbox or development environment within Stratus. That way they can take a phased approach doing pure IaaS, not need all the dependencies on doing a production deployment to get the full ATO and some of the other things that they'll need as as they mature into cloud adoption, and be able to take 3 systems and get them into a more cloud native adoption, so that way they can eventually possibly move into a joint operational edge with the commercial cloud capability. And what we are able to do then is provide them some initial engineering, so that way if they have some surprises that come up as they start to deploy into the cloud environment, they have those professional services from J9, our cloud experts, our admins, to be able to go in there and help them stand up that initial environment, because they just might not be ready for a pure cloud environment. And then to help them in their day-to-day operations, the operation and maintenance of that environment, our SAs and admins, they can go in there and maintain, patch those systems, so that way they can focus on the core development of those applications and deploy those out. So that way that warfighter can understand that their capabilities up and operational in the cloud and always available to them. Anything you want to add for your side?
Just that those same DISA professional services, right, can be used to operate your environment within the Joe as well, right? The key with extending commercial cloud is giving you those same services. So ideally, if you can use those same services in CONUS and OCONUS, you're going to be able to do a lot more.
And Matt, the other thing that we'd like to add, right, is for any of the services or combatant commands that are looking to deploy into an environment, come to us, have the conversation, because with the Joint Operational Edge, you are handling the JWCC task order, you're handling the installation at those different DoD sites, you are handling the initial configuration of the AWS Outpost in this case, but also the other initial deployment for their VPCs to get them IAM policies and things like that stood up, and cloud formations to be able to have a repeatable template, right? You want to add on that?
Yeah, so building off of that, right, if we think about how the theater typically works, you deploy physical hardware, you deploy solutions on those hardware, you rinse, lather, repeat, right? And you keep doing this and building that out. The future needs to be this joint environment. We need to focus on solutions like Stratus and Joe that provide us this joint infrastructure baseline upon which everyone can build. And so by doing that, we now remove your focus from managing hardware, from managing the generic cloud perimeter, and focus you on deploying your mission apps and operating those apps and actually achieving whatever your mission outcomes are.
So Matt, with Stratus, what's great is today you can go into the stratus.mil portal, you can place an order, be up in minutes in an IaaS environment. For Zipper, it's going to take a couple days to get that environment up and deployed. You can just MIPR the funds. There's no contract acquisition that's needed. What's so great about Joe and how we're able to now provide that offering given what we have planned for FY25?
Yeah, so for FY25 with Joe, we've been forward funded by DoD CIO and DISA J9 in order to host some pilot workloads for a number of different mission partners. So it's as easy as contacting your hybrid cloud broker and starting the conversation about what you actually need. It comes down to a little bit of capacity planning, right? Because when we start talking about OCONUS cloud, we're talking about how do we manage physical capacity that is restricted, which is not typical cloud conversations that you're going to have, because the typical cloud conversation is it's so big you could never run out of capacity. But when we do these hybrid deployments, we do actually have to think about that capacity and use it wisely. So it's best not to try and be too duplicative on what we're deploying, and to make sure that we deconflict within the theater so that you can leverage those joint capabilities.
Thanks, Matt. And that's what's so great about it, right? We understand that in the past, DISA has had things where it was all or nothing, but we've really worked hard to put a modular capability, give you that optionality that you all need, elect the managed services that you need at the right time to make that right decision, and get those capabilities that you need when you need them. You don't necessarily need full managed stack with your development environment as you're standing up and doing some experimentation with Joe or within Stratus, but we can help through the hybrid cloud broker to plan out that roadmap for you and determine when you actually need to start electing some of those services like vulnerability management service, CSSP, and things of that nature. So with that, I think you're ready to talk about how we align with DCIO. Oops.
Yeah, so when we talk about the DoD CIO's vision for how to deploy OCONUS Cloud, they recognize that there's three tiers, right? There's the strategic, the operational, and the tactical. So at the strategic level, we're talking about the national regions, right? We're talking about the gigantic gov clouds, secret clouds, top secret clouds sitting in CONUS today. When we move towards the operational environment, we're talking about those larger or more fixed facilities where we can put some non-trivial capacity, racks, multiple racks, maybe even entire data centers of capability out there in the field, and be able to extend the cloud closer to the edge. And then at the very bottom of that stack, right, is the tactical. It's the most important because it's the one that's closest to the warfighter. So that's putting things in ships, in Humvees, on the backs or in the backpacks of our warfighters, right, and allowing them to carry these capabilities downrange. And it's really important to make sure that we make the architecture so that it can easily scale all the way across those boundaries, so that an application can be deployed in CONUS, it can have a forward-based element in the operational edge, and it can operate even locally at the tactical level so that we can get the right data and the right decision at the right time.
Thanks, Matt. And then for the services, right, we have our plans for FY25. Currently, we are funded in deploying AWS Outpost. That is we did a best value trade-off from JWCC contract acquisition. They were the ones that won the award. However, I would think, or would you agree that as the services go to explore their own tactical edge offerings, they should reach back to us, have a conversation how they can integrate with Joe, or if they need a joint operational edge deployment that they are looking beyond that initial CSP, they can also partner with us so we can have those conversations and see where we can go to expand this capability in other AORs to other cloud providers, because the goal for the DoD CIO is to have all 4 CSPs at these different locations globally available to the warfighter. So we are postured and positioned to have those already ready and the capability there to move into and deploy those applications.
Yeah, 100% there, right? It's very important to recognize that no one vendor, no one provider is going to meet every mission's use case. We have to be able to get multiple vendors out there. And so right now we're taking a crawl, walk, run, right? We started with one site, we expanded to two, now we're going even larger. And then over time, we're going to try and add more and more vendors into this mix because it really is important to make sure that we get those best capabilities. Where one CSP may be shining, the other one could be hurting. And so we can flip between those and try to make this mesh workload in the AOR to really make it work and be effective for your mission.
That's exactly where the CIO would like to go, right? For their OCONUS cloud strategy, what they've done with DoD Fulcrum, it's positioning us to align with those strategies. General Stanton has come in and said for DISA Next that he's not going to change that strategy. He's going to set those goalposts for us, and we are very much working towards those goals today. And we expect not a lot of changes, but of course, as missions change, operations change, we are postured to be able to pivot and make those decisions that we need to. And with that, we can start sharing a little bit of what's next.
So when we talk about what's next, so Adam already mentioned it. Joe awarded a JWCC task order to AWS, and that's going to expand us globally. And it's also going to expand what we've deployed already to the Indo-Pacific theater. So we already had one on the island of Hawaii, we have one on the island of Japan. We're going to actually increase our footprint on Hawaii because we found that there was increasing demand, even just on our early adopters. They wanted to do bigger and better things, and we'll hear about those use cases in a little bit. We're also going to go ahead and we're going to expand the footprint into the UCOM and the CENTCOM AORs and start to experiment in those regions and start to bring in some of the mission workloads that we can find there. There's additionally some work that's going to be done to increase the resiliency because Outpost, as you may know, is a slightly tethered solution. There is an umbilical back into the CONUS cloud, and when that is lost, there are some noticeable impacts. And so we've got some solutions to increase those resiliencies so that we can make sure that we can tolerate longer durations of disconnected states. There's also going to be the addition to S3 storage. So when we started out, it was very much EC2, EBS. We had some EKS and ECS with some caveats. S3 got approved during the course of the last year, and so now we're going to be going ahead and adding that into the solution, allowing you to get some of that file storage and that similar methodology on site.
All right, and then from Stratus, we are already deployed in UCOM. We're Nipper and Sipper. We are expanding that capability to CENTCOM. We are also looking to broaden the hybrid cloud centers in general through an OTA and be able to enhance the different capabilities with Stratus, bring in more of those commercial-like capabilities. That way we can align with the CSPs as a managed service provider. As DISA is a combat support agency, we want to have as many of those things in-house available to our mission partners to alleviate some of those concerns that they might have with the commercial cloud provider and be able to continue operations. And then for SecRel, we are very much still focused on that problem set and that challenge to work on solutions that will meet the bigger demand signal beyond Five Eyes. As we go through our deployments and piloting, we will be sharing more with that. Hopefully we'll be able to announce a little bit more at the customer symposium in March that will be allowed us to share out a lot more capabilities. But with that, I think we're ready for some use cases. So for Fulcrum, right, Joint Operational Edge and Stratus both are extending things to the operational edge. So that is very much aligned with DCIO. It's putting the infrastructure in place so that we can get after those joint applications that can get after CJADC2 and start to deploy those capabilities. With TAC, we've partnered with SOCOM, who initially helped us get the outpost up and operational. They've deployed a TAC unit, and that's the first TAC server that's been deployed on Sipper on an AWS outpost that is able to provide operational site picture to commanders. And they are able to, even with TAC, I just learned recently that through the hurricane efforts that impacted Florida and Georgia, they were using TAC servers to work with local law enforcement to be able to understand what was going on in those different AORs and be able to get the teams and the support out to where they needed. I didn't realize that was a capability that was being used at that level. And then with PAC Fleet, we are partnering with them to deploy some of the capabilities with their Gemini deployment and to connect the service for the different teams and help support their missions. And with that, I'd like to open it up to our teammates out in the audience, and we'll go with Brad from INDOPAC for Kernos.
Can you hear me?
Not yet.
Not working?
There we go.
Is it working now? So right now what we're doing at INDOPACOM, actually 2 projects we're working on, Kernos being one of them, which is so by the way, Brad Drapo, INDOPACOM J68, charge of C4 C4 IT modernization, as well as mission partner environments in INDOPACOM. So that's the background. That's what I do, and a little context for the 2 things we're working on. So first thing we're working on, mentioned already, is Kernos, right? It's a, if you will, a C2 viewer type application, a core application for collaboration with our allies and partners. So we've been working with our partners at SOCPAC and our industry partners at SMX to deploy that, and we're pretty excited to get that into the IL6 version of Joe, which what we're working towards, so that we have a hybrid, not just a hybrid architecture with hybrid cloud, but also that ability to cross domains, right, from our mission partner environment into the IL6 environment, and broaden our reach to our partners in the region, as well as our U.S. folks. And the second thing we're working on, trying to, capacity comes in. So I'm glad to hear the expansion and whatnot that you have planned for both Stratus and Joe is. And some of this is pre-decisional, so I'll preface it with that, right? It is also moving most of our mission applications to a common area, hybrid cloud, and we're looking to leverage Joe quite a bit for that, as we sort of strive to solve several problems that we have within the command and within the theater. COOP, first one that comes to mind. Operationalizing, the command in Japan is another one that comes to mind, and just several challenges that we face here on the island. So those are the 2 things we're sort of off and running on, and trying to work with the team on. So appreciate that. I do have a question for you, though, if I could, which is back to your managed services capacity on that, right? Because that's a constraint that we have as we try and go fast on some of these initiatives. Thoughts on
Capacity from
you talked about the cloud engineers and the managed services and the data centers. Do you feel like the capacity's there to really?
Yes, absolutely. Because even through our capacity contracts, right, that we already have with industry, if we needed to surge those capabilities, we can understand your use case requirements for that labor, whatever it may be. And then if we don't have that already in-house, we can leverage those contract vehicles to actually surge those capabilities and bring those. So that way you're not going to have to out there and having to execute your own contract to be able to bring those in. So if that's something that we need to have another conversation on, I'm excited to do it.
Yeah, we certainly do. So I look forward to that. Any questions on our efforts that we got underway?
All right.
Okay, thank you.
And now we'll have it from Mr. Woodruff from USAR PAC and CDO.
Hello, I'm Robert Woodruff. I'm with the CDO office, the Chief Data Office that works for USAR-PAC. We're very unique for the Army. We've set up not only a data management section, a knowledge management section, and a data analytics section. Our overall goal was to set up what was called an LTAC, or a tactical data platform. That platform is used as a centralized repository for data. We're wanting to spin up those servers on Joe to act as a forefront that we can communicate across all of our mission partners, so Navy, Air Force, and the Army. Within the last week, I have been able to get an LTAC operational. I've been working in conjunction with not only the Joe folks, but also PEO, and working with Enlighten that manages the LTAC. And I've been working with them, and they've helped me stand up a working LTAC on Joe that we've been able to see communication on the SIPR network. That's further along than I think anyone has done when it's come to cloud architecture on hybrid. I don't think there's anyone else there. I have also been working with or Cyber, who are the ones that initiated the LTAC. We've kind of changed names. A lot of people, when they hear LTAC or Gabriel Nimbus, they think of cybersecurity. At UserPack, we've been utilizing that as a data platform, not necessarily just for cybersecurity. Do you guys have any questions of me of what we're kind of doing with data? You guys can either ask here, or if you need to talk to me on the aside about this, feel free. Any questions?
All right. And then absolutely, for either team, we really go ahead and sit there. We really appreciate both you gentlemen coming out and sharing a little bit about your particular use case. And if you have questions for them, feel free to reach out to us within J9, and we'd be happy to have connect you for a gov-to-gov conversation. With that, for Stratus, the use case that they are doing, they were the early adopter who helped us identify some of the parity issues I mentioned earlier with the latency concerns. So we were able to use their sandbox that they're deploying, and they're trying to get after a joint application store that is going to help them for some initial exercises in early April, and then come August, I believe, is the big exercise that is going to be a joint exercise that they're looking to put everyone on their Stratus environment and to use that across their joint partners within that exercise to be able to deploy that capability, make sure it's available to anyone in the PAC-F AOR, and then we are also partnering with their sister organizations within UCOM to see where they can also learn from these capabilities. My understanding is they also have applications that maybe are not adopted by that team today as much, and then they'll be able to learn from the efforts that they're doing here today in Stratus to be able to train their teams and get them up and running and operational with these other applications. So a lot of really good efforts going on. We're excited to be able to partner with these teams and provide these capabilities for their teams in that AOR. And with that, we have Colonel Veneta with DISA PAC here at 1400. We have the Hybrid Cloud Broker doing a panel session tomorrow at 1100 in the same theater. And then right on the other side of this wall, we have SPIO, and they have the DISA Services course. Because J9 is only hosting and compute, we obviously partner with the Thunderdome teams, the ICAM teams. We partner with PEO Transport to get after the transport capabilities that's critical for any of these environments to be up and operational. So be sure to go on the other side of the wall there and connect with our teams, and we'd be happy to have that conversation. And then you can use the QR code on the screen or disa.cst@mail.mil, and we can have the conversations with you, understand your particular use case, and work with you to identify what solution works best for you all. I think that's it.
Questions?
Yeah, for this time, anyone have any questions to open us up?
If anybody has any questions, there's a mic back here. Also, just like to make a note, I saw a lot of people taking pictures of the slides. That's obviously fine, but right there, you can get all the slides sent to you. They're not classified at all, so just reach out if you want the whole presentation, okay? Any questions?
Got one coming.
Hi, yeah, my name's David King. Just curious from an industry perspective, what are different ways we could get involved from a contracting perspective, any future opportunities to come in and support?
That's a great question. Sorry, I meant to have Matt lead into that earlier, so go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, so I think it's really important from an industry perspective to sit there and look at your solutions and how they can be operated in a hybrid cloud environment, right? Recognizing that this particular theater is prone to DDoS situations. So when you want to leverage cloud capabilities, making sure that you have a backup so that you can either leverage a local capability in addition to that remote capability, or that you've already pre-planned or laid out some additional infrastructure on top, right? So when we talk about cloud, the network is the key. If you can't access back to the higher level resources in that strategic plane, you have to have a backup plan. You have to have something locally. So when you deploy your solutions, making sure that you're pre-planning for that and that you have plans for how you can address that will definitely increase your resiliency and help you provide capabilities that can survive in times of crisis.
Anybody else? I'll come to you. You can stay right in your seat. One more, and then we can all go. One more. Anything. Okay, that's a wrap. I appreciate everybody coming out. Like they said, please come back and see us again at 1400 for the DISA PAC brief. Thank you.